Hello, and welcome to another episode of Jaxon Talks, everybody, with me, your host, Jaxon Stone. Before I get to my guest, before I get to anything, we got to touch on a few things first.
Let me just tell you.
Okay, I guess I'll introduce my guest first, then we'll go from there. This is my friend, Jessy. She's one of my best friends in the whole entire universe. We've been friends for almost 11 years. We'll get into our backstory, how we became friends, where we are now, how our friendship has evolved over time. We're really going to talk about growth and change as people within like your inner circle and how we can help people do that. She works in the social media world, so we're going to touch on that as well. And you'll probably hear some funny stories about me in college before I became Jaxon Stone. But before all that, Jessy lives in... hi, Jessy.
Hi. Hello.
Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
But Jessy lives in Scottsdale. Really cool place if you haven't ever visited. Really cool, it's called Old Town. It's like their downtown. It's really sweet. A lot of stuff going on. So I've been here since Friday. Today's Sunday, April 12th. When I landed at around 7:40-ish. We got some breakfast at this really cool coffee place called JoJo's. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw the coffee flight that I had, which was incredible. And the initial plan was then to come here after that, record an episode of this podcast before I was either too drunk, too hungover, or too tired throughout the weekend. But I've been having issues with my phone. Everyone knows, not everyone, people that know me know that I have an Android. And so I guess the storage was full on my Android. And I tried deleting things and figured that I could get at least 30 minutes of content in. So I had Jessy start a timer. We would stop at 30 minutes, record another 30 minutes the next day, and do the episode in 2 parts. We get about 35 minutes in, the timer goes off. Episode was great. We were flowing. It was going great. We got some good, everything was perfect, actually. It was really good,
great content,
kind of organic episode. Mm-hmm. And then my phone totally fucked it. It recorded 2-minute pieces here and 3-minute pieces there.
Very frustrating for both of us.
Yeah, so we bailed on that and we went about the rest of our weekend. Now we're here Sunday night. I fly home tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Getting ready to shoot the pod. Phone's ready to go. I deleted a bunch of stuff. We got 65% storage, so we're good. We got some room. We got some space. We're vibing. We got some Bud Lights. We got a little Dunkin'. Speaking of Duncan, Jessy's dog is a bulldog named Duncan, and there's an ottoman right here, and he was on it. He was first sitting with us, and then he moved here, and then he peeks his head up,
covering half of you.
Exactly of the camera, and then Jessy's he's probably gonna vomit.
I said this before we started filming. I was like, just drank a bunch of water. He has all of the issues that are possible, and I was like, he'll probably throw up soon, but whatever. He didn't, so I'm like, okay, it's cool. So we start filming.
Exactly. Start filming, pops his little mushy face up, and there it goes. Just a bunch of vomit.
All you see is his head go down, and both of our reactions,
I'm going to clip that in right now. So I'm going to send that clip to Ben, who edits all these. He's going to clip it in right now so you can see our reaction, and then we'll get to the rest of the episode. What's up?
And Duncan's on his way out.
And we got Dunk the Bulldog. Follow him on Instagram.
Yep. Dunk the Bulldog Hunk. Anybody?
Dunk the Bulldog Hunk.
He's made a few appearances in some Jaxon Stone reels this weekend.
Yeah, we're rocking and rolling there.
Yeah.
But welcome to the show, Jay.
He's definitely...
I don't know if he's in the shot.
Okay. I'm good.
Yeah. So for those that watch the show, everyone knows that my professional wrestling... Oh my God! Dude, he just vomited everywhere!
No, you're done.
We're keeping this.
No, we're not.
We gotta keep it.
Stop. We have to stop. I can't look at that for the next.
We gotta clean it. Oh my God.
Speaking of things that are funny for Ben.
Okay, Ben, you're not gonna ever see this, but because I'm gonna delete it.
You have to clip that part, and it has to become
He just
I know you
vomited.
would. Did I not tell you you would?
Poor donkey, man. Oh my god, we can't get this episode. So this is our third take of this show. It's actually our fourth take, now that I think about it, because you guys have all seen episode 1 of Jaxon Talks Everybody. It's with my best friends in the whole world. All of us, we met in college. Jessy was actually there too, but I was so unprepared as a podcaster at that time. I didn't have any mics and I didn't have a stand for my camera. So Jessy, being the absolute fucking rock star that she is, held the camera with its most steadiest hands for an hour and 30 minutes to do this pod, while also containing some of her laughter and movement.
Slight shaking. With a chuckle, yeah.
And I told her that we would do our episode next. That didn't happen because, like I said at the beginning of this episode, I was either too drunk, too hungover, or too tired. And so now, almost 2 years later, we're here in her home, her condo, Scottsdale. A little vomit pre this. Now we're fucking rocking and rolling though, and this should be the greatest episode of all time.
And if this doesn't crush the ratings,
yeah. So.
Man.
Woo. Yeah. Okay.
There it is. You're up to speed.
We got to talk about our sponsors though. So. Jaxon Talks Everybody is sponsored by Bud Light. Unofficially, unofficially, definitely unofficially sponsored by Bud Light. God's water.
There it is.
Okay. But really, Jessy's like actually sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts. And she's going to give you a little backstory about it. And then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this show. Go ahead, Jet. But wait, hold on. We got to hear this sound.
And a cheers.
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 Love you.
So,
Okay.
big coffee fan, as is Jaxon Stone. Aaron, as I like to call you.
Yeah, my name is Aaron, but my friends call me Jaxon.
Sometimes. Some of
My name is Jaxon, but my friends call me Aaron. It goes either way.
Maybe that was the first time I've ever called you Jaxon Stone.
I think it has.
Okay. So, I'm a huge coffee fan. Grew up, born and raised, and went to school in South Dakota. There is no Dunkin' Donuts in South Dakota. They don't exist really in the Midwest. So when I moved to Arizona 4 plus years ago, there was one right up the street. Went to go get a donut, not coffee. Decided to just grab a coffee. Immediately became like a 4 to 7 days a week going to Dunkin' Donuts person. So that's where I'm at. Spent a lot of money there. Randomly, about probably 6-ish weeks ago, I get a package in the mail, and from Dunkin' Donuts.
Officially.
The actual Dunkin' Donuts sent a package to my house that I did not order. Open it up, and it's an influencer pack. It really is.
It is. It was.
It wasn't.
It's an influencer packet.
It's just some swag, but I like to say that I'm sponsored because someday I'm coming for Charlie's spot.
We're going to be on that level.
No, I'm not.
She's
great.
She's amazing.
She's great. She's
really great. Shout out to her.
I would love my dog, whose name is Duncan.
If you watch this episode, make sure you tag her 712 times so maybe she sees it.
Yep.
Sauces us a retweet because she's hella dope.
And if she wants to use Duncan, my dog, in any of her content, she is more than welcome to do so.
He's TikTok ready. He was on TikTok, my TikTok today.
Yes, he was.
But mine will not get 32 million views. We're hoping for 7.
You know, maybe, but probably not. You're right. So, so kind of ironically, love coffee, happened to stumble upon it here, and it's also my dog's name, not spelled the same, so it just works out. So here we are, with my Dunkin' cup right here, and Dunkin' dog toys too.
Yeah. So you mentioned you're born and raised South Dakota.
Yes.
That's where we met.
Yes.
At the Harvard of the Midwest, South Dakota State University.
Go Jax.
Go Jax in Brookings, South Dakota. But before we get to that, that kind of good stuff, of course, you've seen my episodes You've watched a few, so you know generally how I start. And I'm going to ask you this question. We kind of talk about this stuff all the time, like group chats, phone calls. Like we stay in pretty close contact, obviously. We have a lot of deep, meaningful conversations. And you know how kind of important this question is. I think it's even more important in today's world because there's a lot of divide, there's a lot of different polarity. And I think the more open and honest conversation we have, the more understanding we have, the more connection we feel, the more love we feel, and then the more empathy we have for other people's situations. And so this question is used as a form nowadays to say hello, but I think we can expand on it. And so I'm asking you right now, Jessy, here at your home on a Sunday evening, after a beautiful weekend, how are you doing for real, for real?
For real, for real. I'm doing fantastic at the moment. Obviously been a really tough 14, 15 months now in the COVID world. A lot of unfortunate things happening out there. But I myself feel very blessed and have found some positivity in that time frame as well. But I think most importantly, maybe most relevant, is feeling very fulfilled after being vaccinated now.
Yes.
Kind of, obviously feel relieved. So there's that, and then just the weekend that we just had was so great. Saw so many great people, did a lot of fun things.
So awesome.
And so being able to do that again and feel safe about it, I think is big. So that's where I'm at. Feeling pretty good about stuff.
How important do you think relationships and connections are to your life, and how has that idea of those two things changed in the last 14 months specifically?
That's a good question. Very, very, very important to me are the relationships, friendships, connections that I've made. Probably in the last 10 years, mostly. You keep saying 11 is 10. It's going to be 10. 2011.
Oh, yeah, because it's 2021.
Yep. I also think today's April 11th.
Is it April 11th?
I think so.
Have I just been botching this whole episode?
I think so.
I'm so sorry.
I don't know. It's fine. Who cares?
I got here April 9th. That's a Friday, so April 10th is Saturday. Yeah, today's April 11th.
Yeah.
Today's April 11th, so if you're halfway through this and realizing why it's Jaxon Stone keeps saying the wrong date, I was mistaken.
We don't know.
So, we're here. Cheers.
And so,
Mazel tov.
And so, they're very important to me. The connections I made in the last specifically 10 years. And we kind of got into this on our unrecorded episode a little bit about, kind of once you leave high school, once you leave your parents' house, and you get out there in the world, whether it's college or, a job or whatever path you take, you really find out who you are, or you're able to make it for yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're not, at least in my case, and a lot of other cases that I know, you're just not the same human being. After you spend some time away, get to know yourself, get to know the people you like, the things you like, you're able to kind of have those freedoms. That's kind of where I started making my deepest connections.
Yeah.
Many of which you have had episodes with, the boys group. So, and I think even more so, I mean, these weekly, maybe bi-weekly Skype calls that we have with our group chat have become some of my favorite, times of the week.
Right.
Because pre-COVID, we didn't do a lot of that.
Right. We did not. We should have
Always should have.
FaceTime, video called, or whatever you want to call it, right?
We're all in different parts of the country.
Everywhere.
And, I don't know. I think maybe just because everyone it started to become so much more mainstream to do video chats and Zooms and home working and whatever. But
right.
So we started that, and it's become, one of my favorite things, getting to see people and hear what they're up to on a much more regular basis.
Right. Yeah. I talk about this a lot, specifically not the idea of relationships or connection, but I feel like that's the most important thing. But it's really about something gets taken away from you, and that's when we actually realize how important it is. Because the biggest motivator for change is usually pain, right? In my case, that is 100% true. And so I tried to reinforce the idea of thinking about what's in your life at the moment that you truly do appreciate, not waiting for it to be gone for then to feel like, oh, I didn't value that as much as I should have. And we can't do that with everything, right? But we definitely can do that with the people that we care about deeply. And I think COVID showed us that a lot. And so my hopes is that we maintain that kind of sense of urgency when it comes to maintaining and connecting with other people and other human beings. And that doesn't have to be these in-person conversations, right? We can maintain the video chats or the texting platforms or the group chats or whatever it is to know that you have your people, right? Because a lot of people in this world feel very alone. And the only way to not feel alone is to know that there's people in this world who truly understand who you are. And you only need a small group, like, right? The 2 to 3 people that know you really great is way better than being a room full of people that, like, sort of get you, right?
Acquaintances.
They're acquaintances. And so, yeah, I think obviously you're right, like, but it's much deeper. And I feel like it has to be expressed a lot more because we have to maintain connection.
Yep. And I think we don't want to say, obviously, the positive part of the pandemic. It's not. But I think something we found, at least in our situation, I think our group became closer because of it. Like I said, like checking in much more regularly than we would have before.
Right.
And so I think that's been a huge for me too, just being somewhere where, I have friends here, but through quarantine and stuff, didn't see a lot of them. And I don't, my immediate family is not out here. So, kind of going through the pandemic by myself. I got a lot closer with you guys. I FaceTime with my sister and her, my nephew, a lot more than I did before. So yeah, it's been really nice to keep building those connections.
Yeah. You're when I met you or have gotten to know you over the last 10 years, you're someone that I've deeply kind of admired your ability to do most of the shit you do on your own. We grew up very differently, different family dynamics, definitely different parts of the country. But for you, like your transition for me, like you grew up in a very small town, 2,000 people, 3 stoplights, went to a big university, 15,000 people, 12,000 people. For what I knew.
It's
a big university.
It is.
Right? Division I sports, like a lot of athletes, all that, whatever. And then from there, you moved to a huge city.
With a couple stops in between.
Stops in between, but that's like the path, right?
The trajectory.
And you put yourself through school. No one helped you. You moved out here by yourself, bought your own place. So, for one, that's awesome, right? I admire that deeply about you. But 2, do you think because you've had to do so much stuff on your own, and you just had to get after it and find a way to get it done no matter what, that it's put you in a difficult position to ask for help at times? Has that ever been an issue for you?
I am independent, right? Like very independent. As you mentioned, I think I have done a lot of those things on my own, not because I didn't have the resources to be able to ask for help. So very clear distinction that if I needed help, if I wanted help, I could get it. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. However, yes, because I'm very independent, and driven and all these things. I'm also very stubborn about asking for help. And so I do think it's made it a little bit more difficult, I guess. Not that I would have it any other way. I'm very proud of the things that I've been able to accomplish
You absolutely should be.
Get to in life. Definitely not done. But it's been quite the span.
Yeah.
From small town South Dakota
to where we were last night. So, and I bring up that point to kind of circle it back to relationships. Do you think that independence you have of being able to just get shit done by yourself has hindered or hurt relationships? They can be romantic relationships or just, like a platonic relationship like ours. Have you thought about that ever?
I haven't.
I'm crushing it with these questions right now.
You're making it tough, but yeah. No, a little bit, yes, because I'm not a person that really depends on anyone for anything. And so it has kind of, like in a traditional, maybe we'll say relationship, we'll go with that example.
Okay.
A traditional, whatever that word means, traditional relationship sense.
Hold on, it's bothering me. I don't know if it's in. It would be super awkward, wouldn't it? We're good. Who knows? Might have to start over for a fifth time.
Great. So in a traditional relationship, I think sometimes it's like, if I would rather just go buy myself something if I want something instead of dropping the hints to someone that I want something, or maybe expecting a gift. Like, that's not me. And I think it's made it hard for me to accept people's help sometimes, or people's
like
gifts,
they genuinely want to give this to you because they care. Yeah.
And so I guess so. I haven't really thought of that. Thanks for bringing it up.
No problem. That's what I'm here for.
There you go.
Hard-hitting questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm no relationship expert, as you know, from my past romantic relationships. But I think, relationships really thrive when each person is independent, but they make each other better when they're together. I think what's also important in a relationship is having your individual pursuits that make you happy and purposeful, that you're kind of pushing each other towards and striving toward, but also there's things that you enjoy doing together, right? Because there can be two separate things, right?
Right, yeah.
Like, it's okay if I want to go watch a baseball game and my girlfriend wants to not do that. Like, I can still have that hobby. But there's also got to be things that we always want to do together because that's special. And then we try and experience new things together, like we're talking about, because that creates growth and change. And that's kind of what you want. I mean, again, not an expert, but from what I've read and understand, specifically watching Jay Shetty's material, that's kind of what he talks about. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, is that Dunk?
That is. He might be making a guest appearance.
Breathing heavy after his vomit.
If it's another, if we're going to have to outtake another vomit, we might just be...
I'm going to have to shut this episode down.
We might just wait another 2 years.
Might be a quick 20-minute episode. Okay, so let's get into the real stuff here, the real good stuff.
What everyone wants to know.
How did Jessy and Aaron first meet? Take us back. Give us a little story. Give us some background. Give us a little history. Give us kind of who the person I was then, and then we'll kind of transition into who I am now.
All
since I talk, go ahead, and I'll fill in if I need to.
So we will give you the Cliff Notes version because there's quite some history.
All be revealed in my tell-all book. It comes out in
I'll probably write it.
2040.
I'll probably write it.
My grammar's atrocious, so someone's gonna write it. It'll be moderated or narrated by Sam Pack, so keep a lookout.
It's true. Okay, so way back
2011.
Let's
at the same time.
That was good. So I was a freshman at SCSU. Aaron was a sophomore, obviously playing baseball there. Randomly, my roommate got invited to a baseball party somehow.
By Ty.
Tyson Walker.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So she got invited to this baseball party. She wanted to take me. I was not a partier, not a drinker, but looking to meet new friends also. So yeah, I'll tag along. You know what? I'll be the DD.
Love it.
That was a slippery slope, let me tell you. So went to this party. I was not outgoing. I was not very outgoing, but anyway, not outgoing at all back then. Very shy.
Just like everyone else at that kind of stage, you
That's
weren't sure
true.
about yourself,
That's
right?
true.
You're in a room full of people you don't know.
Freshman, yeah.
You know, you're like,
First timer.
yeah. It's a very weird and difficult situation to navigate.
It is. So if any listeners were ever at a baseball party at South Dakota State, there was no missing him. Like, loud and proud over here.
For sure.
Which is great. So I just saw him, didn't speak to him, didn't anything. But the next week, I saw that he was in my chemistry class.
Woo-woo.
Also didn't speak to you then, but ran into at our student union, which was a great spot.
Yeah, shout out to Ruth.
Yep, there we go. And I said, hey, I think you're in my chemistry class. And he was like, who are you? Like, basically. And long story short, oh, here he comes. That's not a freight train. That's the bulldog hunk right there. Long story short, Aaron was in chemistry, did not like chemistry. I also did not like chemistry, but was very, very serious about getting good grades. Mm-hmm. And what were you like with grades?
Oh yeah, I'll give you a little side story on my grades.
Uh-huh.
So I knew that to play baseball I had to get a 3.0 GPA, or not a 3.0 GPA. I had to get good enough grades to just be able to play ball. And my mom always said you have to get over a 3.0 GPA. And so I only did school in a way where I could just play baseball. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was more of a memorization, get this done, do what you have to do so I can play baseball. It wasn't really until my junior, senior year of college that I actually started learning information because it was more applicable to my major and what I was interested in, the body and all that kind of stuff. And so school for me was just about getting it done enough that I could play ball.
Getting through it.
Yeah, I learn, read, study way more now than I ever used to in school, but I think it's because the information now for me is like very important, and I want to be...
What you're interested in.
And it's interesting, mm-hmm. and I want to be able to... And it resonates with me, and I want to be able to say it in a way where people can understand it, and it resonates with them as well.
Right.
But that was me as a student. I'm not sure why you gave me a second chance after our very awful encounter in the student union, but you did, which led to a little collusion.
Yeah. So, which ultimately led to Aaron was not into chemistry. I was not also, but I was really hardworking student. Mm-hmm. So I more or less took the class for Aaron because it was online. And I would do all of my work first, and then I would know the answers, and then I would log in as you and do yours for you. So.
Wow. We should have flipped that so you got a better grade than me, but.
We should have. I was apparently not smart enough to realize that, just smart enough to get you good grades.
But that whole, semester, we basically just became friends.
Right.
Close friends, close homies.
Yep. I became the unofficial official DD of the baseball team.
Definitely official, not unofficial.
That's true. Backstory about Brookings: no taxis, no Ubers. Two taxis, maybe. One.
Yeah, everywhere is pretty much walkable, but when it gets like negative 40 degrees, you're not trying to walk.
That was no exaggeration either. Negative 40 is a real and
very
often
very regular occurrence in the wintertime is a negative 40.
Yep.
Which blew my mind there my first year as a freshman, but I stayed. got through it. So that was, that's how we became friends. And then we just kind of blossomed from there.
Yep.
Yeah, what else? What else you got?
So I'm trying to think. Schoolwork, obviously. A lot of dinners.
A lot of dinners.
That I cooked for you.
Yeah. Wasn't really a cooker.
Not. Oh, have you told that story to your podcast?
Quick story. Anywho.
To prove that you're not a cooker.
To prove that I'm not a cooker. Freshman year, in the dorms, very small dorm. All we have is a microwave. I never ate ramen growing up. So I just got a bag from the Walmart, because that's, I guess, what college students eat when they can't go to the student union. Was really not thinking about it. Also didn't actually know what to do. So it's both combination.
Bad combo.
Just put the block of ramen, didn't crunch it up or do anything to it, in just like a plastic bowl. And I just put it in the microwave. Just figuring out, not reading instructions, not knowing what to do. Also just, boom. A minute later, my roommate's like, yo, what's burning? It's the ramen, obviously. The microwave blew up. The fire alarm went off, and we had to evacuate the entire dorm. It wasn't in the middle of the night. It was 8 p.m.
Luckily.
And so that was a tough freshman year. I ate a lot of bagels because I knew how to toast them and put strawberry cream cheese on them. So I ate a lot of that and spent a lot of time in the student union because we had some meals with the baseball team, but not enough. So that was that. So I met Jessy and found out she was a great person. Also would like to cook. I was like, please help me eat food.
And it became this thing, right? Because I worked all through college to make money to go to college, essentially.
Yeah.
And Aaron was like, listen, if you cook the food for me, I will buy everything for the meals.
All the meals. Let's go.
All the meals. And so 4 or 5 times a week, I was at his house cooking for the both of us, because that way I didn't have to go grocery shopping.
It's great. It was
for a while.
Worked out great.
It was a great setup. Setup.
Yeah, I lived in my sophomore year. I lived in this 3-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. I had 2 roommates to start with, but then my roommate, who I lived with my freshman year, he had a girlfriend who now he's married with. So that's amazing. So he's just basically started living with her, which she had a way better spot than we did, which is cool. And then my other roommate, I don't know, I think he transferred schools, so he just left. So basically I had this whole apartment to myself.
And I was in a dorm room by myself after my roommate transferred. And so we're both very much alone for a good portion of time, unless I came over.
Right. And then that's how you met your friend Kara, now that you're so friends with.
Yes. So Kara, who has filmed an episode, right?
Yeah, I love Kara. She backstory on her. I met her at college. She played soccer at SDSU. We briefly dated, not really super important now, but she went through the exact same experience, losing her brother to suicide, that I did with my sister, and she was someone that I relied on a lot for advice, feedback, is what I'm feeling real? Is this okay? Is this normal? And she was someone that I just
great resource.
I trusted a lot, and we hadn't spoken a lot. I reached out to her when her brother passed because I knew him. He was a really, really good guy. And then she reached out to me after hearing about my sister, and we've kind of just stayed in contact, and knowing also that she's still really good friends with Jay. And she did film a very nice video for You Are Loved, so if you want to check out more of her story and exactly what it is, Jessy actually filmed that too. That's her, and this is how we kind of all became friends and met or whatever.
Yeah, so at that same apartment, I was over there, we were getting ready to cook dinner, and in walks this girl who I had never met, and she comes in and she just starts talking to Aaron, telling a story about this guy named Gavin. And in my head, I'm thinking of 12,000 students in a university in the Midwest of all places.
Right.
there's got to be a lot of Gavins. It has to. My first cousin, who I grew up with, very close with, his name is Gavin, and he went to SDSU.
Yeah.
With us. And so I'm thinking, like, this story is going on, and I'm not saying a word. She doesn't acknowledge that I'm in the room. And I'm just listening, taking it all in, and at the very end, I'm like, hey, what's Gavin's last name? And she says, Cordell. Why? I'm like, oh.
That's my cousin.
That's my first cousin. Very close to them. And she's like, oh, who are you? And so I meet her, whatever. It's fine. We all get along great. Kara is now married to Gavin Cordell, so she is related to me now.
Amazing.
And one of my dearest best friends of all time.
Yeah. Pregnant.
Yes, they are expecting any day now.
So good.
Baby number 2.
Yeah. When this episode comes out, she'll have had a healthy, happy, beautiful little baby.
Yay. Yay. So exciting. Family's growing. Love it.
That's awesome. So interesting how that all works out.
Very small world.
Wow.
Super small.
Gotta love South Dakota State.
Yep. Who we ironically ran into.
There's so many jackrabbits here in Scottsdale, dude.
In a 2-mile radius.
There's 4 guys that I played baseball with that live in this area.
Mm-hmm.
I only got to see 2 of them this weekend. And then there was another guy that left or that played there the year after I left, so we met up with him. And then they know a bunch of other people that played like other sports there and also just like moved from South Dakota to here. I feel like we met 15 people who
at least
were either from South Dakota or went to South Dakota State or played some sort of sport there. And it was like, and then we had some people flew in the same weekend that I flew in, and I had no idea. And it was like so cool how some things just kind of line up in a really like perfect way, you know?
And it's crazy too because I have probably run into these people out and about being in Scottsdale and never known. So it's very cool to see, like, I mean, I obviously did not play baseball, but like I might as well have been on the roster.
You have literally have my jersey in your closet.
I do.
I gave one to my mom and I gave one to you.
Yeah, it's true. And so it was really cool to be like, you know, we all have something in common. It was very fun to have conversations about this bar and Brookings and this, your majors and sports and stuff. So that was very, very cool. Wow. But yeah, what a small world. Super cool.
Actually, now that I think about it, that we're filming this at the end of the weekend because I wouldn't be able to talk about that if we did that Friday.
That is true.
I'm so interested and intrigued on how the universe just like works itself out. You know? I believe in it so much, and it always tends to kind of work itself out in a way that's like pretty good and pretty positive if you are open to that sort of thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely how I got to Arizona too.
Yeah.
And I came down for spring training 1 week, stay with some family, extended family, and by the end of the week, it was kind of like, I think I could see myself here, but again, I'm like from a really small town, never really done a big city thing. I lived with Kara, I guess, right outside Kansas City for a while, and that was my experience with the extent of my big city experience, which she lives nowhere near Kansas City, like the city. We're like out kind of like similar to my hometown, but I just packed all my bags and kind of headed down with no real plan, and things have worked out very, very well for me.
Yeah.
So
a wise man once said, "You can't fly if you don't jump."
Okay. I wasn't sure where that was going.
Also, Champions Adjust.
Wondering if...
Champions Adjust. New podcast. Follow us at Champs Adjust Pod. Twitter and Instagram. Thanks. Champions Adjust. Baseball podcast. It's going to be fucking fire. Mm-hmm. Fire. Jess, you got another story you want to tell? You want to talk about, let's go there, and then we'll kind of talk about maybe the person that I was then and how I've been able to transition to the person I am now. What you saw then in me that made you want to stay friends with me that maybe other people didn't see.
Yep.
But yeah, what do you got? What do you got for me?
Through the first time we filmed this, all of the stories are kind of really about me drinking, which did not happen a lot.
No.
Back in the day.
I mean, it doesn't happen a lot now.
That's true.
You're not a big drinker.
But even more so back then. Like, not even really in a social sense was I drinking often.
Right.
Back then. But especially before I was 21. So my first drink was on my 19th birthday. Mm-hmm. I had, I think, 2 Mike's Hard Lemonades and maybe 3 shots of the most disgusting UV cake vodka.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a lot, though, for your first time drinking.
It is. But, like, now it's comical, right? Because that's just not a lot of alcohol.
Right, sure.
Okay, so I was at a baseball party, of course, and had these drinks, and I was ill.
Yeah. Jessy was like her dog earlier, just vomiting.
Yep, so there was a lot of that. Shout out to Kara. She took care of me a lot that night.
What a beast.
And the baseball house, I'm sure it's been I know it was referenced in the boys' episode.
Yeah.
The baseball house was very small, common areas, where there would be 200 people.
Yeah, just getting after it.
And it was like a nightclub scene. No lights on, maybe some strobe lights or black lights.
Yeah.
And very, very loud music to where all of the cars on the streets' windows were like shaking. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so Aaron comes in to where I am with Kara's, I think, like double fisting, like patting my back and drinking. She was great.
Was she?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
So, Aaron comes in and he says, Jessy, your sister is here to pick you up. You need to stand up and walk out of here on your own. Because if I have to carry you, if I have to help you get out, everyone's going to look at you. They're going to know that you can't party, basically.
Yeah, like that's important. Jesus Christ.
And they're going to laugh at you and make fun of you, and you're never going to hear the end of it. And so I said, okay, I got this. Pulled myself together.
Champions adjust.
Which means I stood up, basically. I didn't pull anything else together at all. And Aaron's got me like this, you know, like has his arm around me kind of and opens this door, and we have to get through this sea of people who are absolutely raging.
Yeah.
We used to call them ragers. Like,
yeah.
Throwing ragers at the baseball house. Anyway, we get 3 people deep into 200, and he screams at the top of his lungs, "Everyone move! Jessy's sick!" Like, everyone's just like, huh? So all of the attention was on me. A lot of people brought it up after the fact. So there was no secrecy getting out of the house. Thank you for that.
That's my bad.
So, like I said, this is the human, or what everyone knew of you, basically, back then.
Yeah.
And it sounds like I didn't know the good version of you, or some of those maybe deeper traits of your personality back then, but I did.
Yeah.
Right? And I was one of the only ones who was able to kind of crack the shell and get to what was underneath, which is very similar to who you are today.
Yeah.
Or what you publicly are today. You've always been that person.
I've always been that person.
Yes.
Yeah, to an extent. You know,
big heart.
Yeah, always.
And care for people very much. There's Dunk.
Hey, Dunky.
And so it was just, it was interesting because a lot of people had a hard time understanding our friendship.
People always questioned it, right? Like, why are you so close with him? Like, what do you...
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know. And I was very soft-spoken, kind, do anything for anyone, and that's not what people knew of you.
Yeah.
But I knew that he would always do whatever he could for me. Like buying all of the groceries for all of, like, self-serving to an extent, but very much helpful for me, and you knew that.
Yeah.
So things like that, I mean, we went out for my birthday dinner that you paid for every year that I was at school.
Mm-hmm. This like nice little quaint Italian restaurant. It's like famous in our lives.
Because it was the only one.
Because it was the only one. It's right next to a Taco John's, which is a brutal place.
I love it.
I mean, it's brutal in the sense, like, it's like Taco Bell. Like, the food is not good until it hits the spot. Like, 2:30 in the morning, like, where are we going? Let's get some hash browns at Taco John's.
Potato Lays.
Potato Lays, excuse me. Literally the same thing.
Exact same thing.
But yeah, you're right. Like, I definitely felt like in school I had to put on this, like, I'm a Division I athlete, kind of exterior sort of jock type douche. Alpha role. And I've always thought, like, highly of myself, but I think until recently it was very pretend confidence. If I had the actual confidence in myself that I had when I was playing baseball, I probably would have played better because it wasn't credible. The things I was telling myself weren't credible, and the things I were doing, like on like to show the world, like wasn't truly who I was, I guess. But in sense it is. Like I like to party, I like to have a good time, like I like to do that stuff. But like you said, people didn't know like a deeper version of me.
Right.
And now I broadcast that out everywhere because I think it's important. Because I want people to know what I think and how I feel and how I act, and that I wasn't always this like person that you see today. Like I've made transitions just like anyone else makes transitions. You know, I spoke on my last episode how I feel bad about embarrassing people, you know, in front of groups of people, like bullying people because I got bullied, or making people feel small or like they don't matter. Like I've done all of those things. Yeah. And so I never want people to feel like I'm telling them about things that I never did in a way that I'm like preaching to them, you know? Yeah. And Donkey's right there, but he's feeling it. And so it's nice to see you and know that, you know,
I feel like
that is true.
You've always had it in you to make an impact on people. First of all, it just was in a much different capacity back then.
Yeah.
Not everyone, in fact, very few people got the version of you that I was fortunate enough to get.
Right.
Our close friend group,
has
definitely.
It? Yeah, yeah.
But other than that, I mean, everyone on campus knew who he was.
That's cool. Yeah.
But, am I wrong? I mean, it's true.
It's true. I mean, it's fine. Yeah, it's true, yeah.
But they didn't know. I think that's why people were so, like, confused about our friendship for so long.
And people also have a weird dynamic with guys and girls just being actual friends.
Yep.
And that's what we are. That's what we've always been.
Yep.
I don't think anyone put anyone in a friend zone. I think it just naturally happened that we just had a friendship, and that's what it was. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why people
have a hard time with that.
Yeah, like why can't we just...
Even still now, right? Like...
Yeah, it definitely still happens now, all the time.
I mean, we got asked several times this weekend about it.
I mean...
Just like...
And you were looking fantastic last time we went out. I was like, yeah, she looks like a fucking babe. Why is it an issue?
So, yeah, it's just... And I've not really had a lot of... I mean, I've had a lot of friendships. I do still, obviously, have a lot of friendships, but none have ever been, as far as guy-girl, this close.
Right.
And so you and I have always known that it was platonic, and there was never anything to worry about. We didn't care, like, to be clear. Did not care what other people thought, so whatever. Right. But, yeah, it's just kind of like a piece of our story that's very recurring.
It is. I think I'm really fortunate enough to have a group of friends that we do have that has allowed for this change to kind of happen.
And to still stay close.
And to stay close with me and like support me through it. Mm-hmm. And so that's been one of the most like things that I've treasured the most over the last few years. And it's also cool visually to see that me talking about this stuff has, I think, helped our friend group open up and explore and change and grow and do these things. And when we get together, it's like this different vibe. Like I always feel so I get like happy when I'm with like the right people. It's like I put it on my Instagram today. It's just literal medicine for the soul.
Yep, fills your cup.
You know, and it's like there's nothing else like it. And it's really it's beautiful. You know, if baseball was taken away out of school and all I had was this group, it still would be the most important 4 years that I've had in one place to cultivate this like lifelong deal. And now we're planning to go see our friend's baby. We're planning bachelor parties, and we're having engagements, and people are buying homes and like planning their futures with their children. It's like, wow, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's
pretty
really
crazy.
cool. It's really cool. The evolution of a human being is like, you know, because I do think there is a stigma attached to growth. People are always like, because they feel uncomfortable by it because change and growth is uncomfortable. But there's so much like fulfillment and purpose on the other side of that we got to like lean into the uncomfortability of like kind of trying to discover who we are, getting to the edge of our capacity, like figuring out what we like, what we don't like, and allowing ourselves to change our mind and have opinions that are different than other people and all that stuff.
Well, and I think too, just like people see, I don't want to refer to like who you were before, like, right? Not like that, but like the persona, the public persona that you had in school versus your public persona now, like, can make people uncomfortable because they see it as like, well, then who actually are you?
Yeah, for sure.
Which one are you?
Right, I get that.
And I know it's come up for you a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but it's cool for me because I've always known that of you. Like, I've always known this version of you had, like, one-on-one. You just were, like, Mr. Entertainer publicly back then. In a different way, right? Like, in a different entertainment way.
Yeah, it's probably why I hopped into wrestling. It's probably why I became Lights, Camera, Jackson, right?
Yeah.
It was still kind of pretending to be that thing. And then I had this one event in my life that made me rethink every single fucking decision, action, and thought that ever crossed my mind in my whole life. And that's what happens.
Yeah, but it's cool because this is what's important.
Yes.
You know? Like, you've gotten your life's mission out of this change.
Yeah, I feel just more empowered and purposeful than ever I've felt in my life.
Yeah.
And you've seen me the last few days. Like, I wake up just ready to go.
It's quite concerning.
I just wake up and I'm ready to go. I got 1 hour of sleep or 17. I feel just as energized. My body might literally shut down on me.
One of these days.
Because recovery and sleep and eating well are just as important as anything else. But I have a wake up with such, vigor and vitality. And that's not every day. Not every day is a great day. You guys know that. I talk about that a lot. We have good days, we have bad days. But the idea of like trying to get excited, being excited about just being alive is a mindset switch that anyone can adopt. You know, especially if you're in a dark spot. You know, you got to find those little nuggets of things that can kind of pull us out of that.
Definitely.
But yeah.
I mean, I wanted to push you down the stairs this morning when you were acting like that. When I was like, I drank a lot last night, a lot less than you.
Yeah. Sure.
But I'm feeling it this morning, and please stop singing along to things and being ready to do things, and go walk my dog for me because I'm about to get sick. Type behavior. I didn't though.
No, champion. Adjust. Liquid IV.
There we go.
Little
Dunkin' Donuts.
Little Dunkin' Donuts. We saw my grandma today.
Which is wonderful.
She's 89. Fucking just
Crushing
great.
it.
Just moves around well. Has full-time care except on Sundays. And she made us a nice, beautiful meal. I saw my uncle saw my cousins, saw my aunt. It's really it was a nice day. It was a nice day.
Yeah.
Okay, let's flip a little bit, not too much, kind of in the same vein of what we're talking about, of connection, relationships, change, and growth, all that good stuff that I talk about every single episode. But you work in the social media field.
I do.
And there's a lot of different opinions on social media. I come to you a lot with tweets, videos, things about grammar, about like my grammar's atrocious.
Most often about grammar.
Yeah, if this is the right thing to say, like, what's your opinion on this? Coming from someone like who does social media for a business, so you have like a business view on it. Let's just very broad, right? Social media view. What's the take for you? Since you work in it, you're around it, you're a part of it, you have to use it.
I am. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that, wish it would go away altogether. There's my dog having more problems.
Hey, bud.
He's not throwing up, though. Just licking his paws. Stop. And so, obviously, for me, it pays the bills.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about it. I feel like I've, picked it up and through internships in college, did the same thing. Through a couple of jobs, and now my full-time thing and freelance too. It has so many corners, right? Of social media. So many ways to use it that are beneficial, so helpful in so many ways. Are you good?
Yeah, can you scoot over a little bit?
Okay.
Trying to get my leg up here so I can turn and see you.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So just it can be used for such good things. As with anything, there is a downside to it. I think especially these last couple years, it's become quite polarizing, depending on which corner you stumble into.
Yeah.
I work really, really hard to curate my personal feeds to only see the positive, the positive sides of it. Unfortunately, through like the business, I can't do that. So I do see a lot of it, and it's a tough world to not be able to put down.
Yeah.
You've done like social media, like I'm taking a break for some time, right? You've done that before?
Never too far extended.
Okay.
Never like a month or 6 months or.
No, but like days.
I've done where, like, if I go on a trip, like when I go to the mountains or somewhere scenic.
Yeah.
Or
remote.
woody or remote. Yeah, I'm putting my phone away for 3 days.
Right.
But I have a very good relationship with social media.
Right.
And that's through lots of practice.
Because it's not always like that. It's not always. And
I get trapped in the wormhole just as sometimes, right? And I'm scrolling and I'm spiraling and I'm doom scrolling and I'm spiraling.
Yep.
Right? But that doesn't happen often enough for me to feel like it's negatively affecting my life.
Right.
And the only reason I've been able to do any of these things, start a nonprofit, start a business, have a podcast, have anyone who listens to anything that I put out, is because I posted on social media.
That is right.
And so it's cool now that I can transition. Just getting after it. That I can transition to like a Patreon.
Yeah.
Right, where we can kind of remove the toxicity of social media and still build a community, but that costs money. And
not everybody.
And I don't want to only put out content that people have to pay for, because then I'm not actually caring about the value that the content brings.
Right.
But you're saying, go ahead.
Yeah, I just sometimes I want to take like a 2-week unplug.
But you can't.
And that's just not in the realm of possibilities right now, which is fine. And I've put myself in this spot, by choice. But I love it because it allows people and companies to do things like this, right? That actually make an impact, a positive impact out there in the world. And so I do think it's good. I think my advice would be to work very hard to only see the things that speak to you. So curate your feeds.
Yeah.
Unfollow the toxicity if you're able. And yeah, take care of you.
Yeah.
You gotta, I mean, because it's a hard thing to get away from. But I think when used for the right positive purposes, it's very beneficial.
Yes.
And we need stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for a young person who may be seeking validation through likes, follows, subscribers? And what's your take there, or advice, or something to just be careful of?
So, I mean, I feel like I have a kind of a unique perspective working in it, right? Because all of the metrics that I track, that's what's important.
Yeah.
That's how I know that my content that I put out for a business is successful.
Is getting views, or
On a personal side of things, if you look at my personal accounts, they're not good. Like because I don't care about building my personal brand on social media right now. But I can see how it is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Definitely. And you kind of get trapped in that, like, I'm going to delete it if it doesn't perform well. I'm not a good person. I'm not good looking. I'm not this, because no one's validating that for me by engaging with what I put out there.
Yeah.
My advice would be to not look at it that way. I know.
Yeah.
It's just...
This is the right advice.
It is. But you see, like, I think TikTok, for example, got very successful. Like, so many of those, and I'll say kids because I feel like I'm old, but...
I think they're all younger than you. Some of them maybe, I don't know, though.
A lot.
They seem like kids, though.
Yeah.
Because they're crushing the app.
They are. And in that sense, like, they were just doing something that they enjoyed and thought was fun and got some laughs and got some likes, and I 100% encourage that. Like, be authentic to yourself is, I guess, where I'm going with this. If it's not actually who you are and not something that you would do off camera, I wouldn't put it out there on social media.
That's exactly it, right? If I'm putting out this tweet that inspired me and touches my soul, and I put it out for hopefully the world to then see it the same way I see it, and it looks like no one viewed it, no one liked it. You don't know who saw the tweet and didn't like it, right? You don't know what a person might have been seeing when they're scrolling through their feed. They're sitting in their bed, their room is dark, and that tweet touched their whole life.
Yep.
Right? I know that's so esoteric and very, like, kind of like spiritual, university type thing, but it's fucking real and it's true. And I have to say that to myself a lot because it's not like my platform is seen by millions of people, but it's seen by people, and I know it helps because I've gotten messages and all these things. But I also have never gotten messages from some people who may look at every single one of my tweets or videos and it may inspire them, and that's what keeps me going. But also it's coming from my, like, deep down in my heart. Like, when I was pretending to be Lights Camera Jackson, right, and pretending to be a movie star, everything I put out was heavily curated.
Right.
And it was super taxing. I loved it because I thought it was fun.
But it was based on a brand you had made for yourself.
But it was based on a brand that I was trying to make, right?
Yep.
And so now it's so much easier because I can be in my underwear with my hair going 7 different directions and put out a video and not have a care in the world about it because I just wanted to say something in the moment.
You can have Duncan's face right
in my face, laughing pre-video, and then put it out.
Yeah.
Because that's just
good stuff.
That's just whatever.
That's real.
That's me.
Right?
Just
that's
like
authentic.
being myself.
Yeah.
And so I still care about likes and views, right? Because I want more people to see it because I feel like the stuff I put out is quite good. Not to toot my own horn, but the more people see it, right, the more people get positively infected by it in a way that they encourages them to change or grow or talk about their mental health or whatever the case may be is, right? But I know that the people who do support, follow, like, subscribe, whatever, those people are my people. And I fuck with them because they fuck with me. And that means the world to me. And so if you're a new person starting on a social media journey, do that. Figure out who you are. And there's never going to be a perfect time to start. I started this podcast with no tripod and no microphone.
And here we are.
You know, I'm still using an Android, but I got mics.
I was going to say.
And I only got the cool mics because close friends of mine sent them to me. But it's cool to look back on where the podcast started and the video quality and all these other things. Now we have a custom intro. And like, so it's cool to see a transition. And Gary Vee talks about it all the time. I'm not super into his content, but some of the stuff he says is cool. And so there's no perfect time to start. There's no perfect time to start anything. You just have to start. That's the perfect time right now. That's for anything. Whether you want to go on an exercise journey, or you want to go on a rock climbing journey, or you want to relocate, right? Or you want to try to find a new job, or you just got to start getting after it. You got to put in the work. You know, you got to be about it. But yeah, this episode or this show is really about me going on tangents.
I mean, I get that, and that's real him, because I get it off camera too.
Phone calls. Jesse hasn't said a word in 40 minutes. Are you still there?
I'm still listening. Heard every word.
Cool.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Last minute thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, funny stories, nuggets, things you want to drop in for the people to.
I do have still on my phone to this day several voicemails left by you over the last 10 years.
I'm a big voicemail guy.
Huge. Like, I get a text, Jesse, I'm going to call you, don't answer because I want to leave you a voicemail.
Yeah, I do that a lot to my friends.
Which is great. I mean, right, because people are busy and you know that, and you just have something to say that needs said uninterrupted.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Another tangent.
Or I just it's something like really serious, and if they're on the line, I'm gonna cry too much, and then I won't be able to get the words out. But then I end up doing the voicemail anyways and still crying in it.
And then, yep.
But yeah.
Yeah. So, two voicemails I want to touch on.
Okay.
The first one being from Brookings, South Dakota.
Yeah.
Back when you were you. Back then.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
So, late night, everyone had been out drinking. You guys were partied. I had driven everyone home from the bars, I think, and I was at home down the street.
Like 3 houses down.
Yep. And
Dung's just going to town on my leg.
he likes to
Thanks, buddy.
lick
Get a
legs
shower later,
and
but
feet.
I'm good now, right? Where's my guy?
My dog full of issues. Poor
The
guy.
last time I saw him, he was like 5 pounds.
It's true.
Now he's 35.
Still
Right.
smushy face though.
Still a beautiful little smushy face.
And so,
Okay, bud.
so I'm at home sleeping because it's like 4 a.m. And the next morning at like 6 or 7 a.m., whatever, I'm getting ready to go to work. And I realize I have a missed call and a voicemail from Aaron not that long after I had dropped him off at his house. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, because back then you weren't a voicemail guy. Like, in like a sober setting.
Right.
Not like calling people and leaving them voicemails.
Right.
So I'm like, that is really weird. Probably like pocket dial, something. And I listened to it and it says, Jesse, where are you? As if I was going to respond to the voicemail. And you were like, I just fell down the stairs and I'm bleeding from the ears. And you're not here to do anything about it. I need your help and you're not here. You're not the person you were when I met you.
Oh, no.
You've changed.
Oh, no.
And so I'm like, oh my God, you're bleeding from the ears. Like there's some like serious trauma happening, but like also why'd you call me instead of 911? I was your 911 is the thing. But like, I'm concerned. And so I call him back, no answer. I'm like, he's likely at the hospital. They're like wrapping your head because you're bleeding from the ears or something.
Yeah.
I'm concerned. And that's like me to a T is like, I take 0 to 100 worry
Yeah.
very quickly. And I find out later, and I think this story actually made the boys' podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Refer to episode 1.
Episode 1.
Best friends episode.
Where he fell asleep at the top of the stairs, fell down them, and
Woke up at the bottom of the stairs.
Woke up at the bottom with a small cut in one ear.
And a big bruise on my back. Really big bruise on my back.
But I'm not the person I was when you met me. What's your insults? And then 10 years later, you recently, a couple weeks ago, sent me a text, hey, don't answer your phone. I gotta say some stuff on the voicemail, whatever. I'm like, all right. So then I get this voicemail, and it is the sweetest, most endearing voicemail of kind words that I won't repeat, so neither of us shed tears on the pod.
Yeah.
But that is your evolution right there. Mm-hmm. Just that short 2 voicemails, 10 years apart,
wow.
maybe.
What a fucking time. I love that. I love that for me. I love that journey for us. Yeah. It's beautiful.
It really is. It really is.
That's a good way to end it.
Yeah. We've had a great weekend.
Amazing
trying to film this multiple times.
Yeah, this is, yeah.
But also for lots of other reasons. But this has been great.
It's been great.
I'm gonna be on a reoccurring guest. Just.
Yeah, for sure. She's probably gonna be on the baseball pod too.
Yeah.
'Cause she's a very knowledgeable baseball person.
Yeah.
And also works for MLB currently. As a little side gig, little side hustle.
On the down low. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Amazing. Love this episode. I love you dearly. Thanks for everyone for watching. Please share this with a friend. Share this with a close friend. Like someone who's been through the shit with you. Like when you got punched in the face, when you fell down, when you got knocked down, who was there to pick you up and has been there throughout all of that. Share this episode with them and then send them a text to go along with it saying, thank you. Or send them a voicemail saying, thank you. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for showing up when I needed you the most. Because I promise you, you cannot tell the people in your life how much they mean to you enough. Because they will not be in your life forever. They will be taken away from you. And that's a sad reality of the situation, but it's also a beautiful part of the relationship because you know that the time you have together is precious, it's real, it's important, and you should value it. So share this with a friend, a loved one, a family member, whatever. That's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. Take good care of yourselves, and goodbye. Bud Light, official sponsor.